do ba 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 do. Hi folks, so welcome back to the channel, and it's finally time to fit the Speedo Healer, which I've mentioned briefly in a video a little while ago, and yeah, finally got time to do it. So before I get into it, and like I'll show you the whole process, right? But before I get into it, just in case you're not aware of what this is and what it's for, let me just give you a quick explanation. Some of you, many of you will be aware of this and you'll know what it does, but some of you might not. So if you've seen one of my previous videos where I had a GPS app on my phone, and while I was riding, I was measuring the difference between my speedo reading and the GPS reading on my phone, and I figured out it was about 14%. Now, normally speedos overread anyway, probably by about up to 6%. So in a car or on a bike, normally if you're doing 30 according to the speedo, you're probably only doing 27, 28, maybe there or thereabouts. Don't quote me on those exact numbers, but there's always a slight difference because speedos will overread. However, because my bike has got a smaller front sprocket, i.e. it's one tooth less on the front. Standard size on this GSXR750 is 17 tooth in the front, but this one's a 16 tooth. So what that really means is, in relation to the road wheels, in relation to the speed that the road wheels are turning, the speed you're actually traveling, the drive shaft is turning quicker, basically. And because of the smaller front sprocket. So what that means is my speedo will be overreading even more. And if you haven't seen that video, just as a heads up, when I was doing 70, the speedo was reading 82. Now you should normally expect at 70 mile an hour, at a true 70 mile an hour, maybe around 74 to 77 actual speed. Sorry, no, let me revert, get my words out. At a true accurate 70 miles an hour, your speedo would probably be showing 74 to 77, depending on the vehicle, etc, etc. Other things that can affect your speedo reading might even be things like tire size and tire pressure. It's all physics, and it's very complicated. But the simple point is that, yeah, mine is overreading by much more than it normally should do. I was going to go back to standard gearing, but I decided to I'm just going to stay, when I do my chain and sprockets, I'm going to stay with the 16 tooth front, and I'll just fit the Speedo Healer, which corrects the difference and then shows you a more accurate reading on the dash. The other issue, and actually my main reason for getting the Speedo Healer, was because not only does it mean that my speedo is overreading, but my mileage is clocking up much quicker than it actually would do. So for every 100 miles that I do according to my odometer, I'm actually only probably doing about 80, 85 miles. So that's not a huge difference, but over time, when I come to sell the bike, I don't want the bike to be reading a relatively inaccurate amount of miles. So so I'm going to fit it, and I'll show you the process. It's actually relatively simple, and then we'll get it set up, and then I'll show you that too. So all it comes with is, there is a little unit there and a cable, which I'll show you where that plugs in a second. Actually, this isn't the main wiring loom for it. I'll tell you what this additional cable is. This is the main wiring loom for it. And this will connect to the speed sensor cable on my bike. Just one other fact actually before we get into it. Not everybody would need this, because some bikes take their speed reading from the wheel, i.e. you've got a ring on your wheel and your speed sensor will be reading the speed that ring is traveling or rotating. Hence it's reading actual wheel speed. But on some bikes like mine, the speed sensor is somewhere in the crank area, maybe. And for me, it is, well, you'll see in a second when I zoom in, it's reading it from a pickup, which is bolted to the front sprocket. But not all bikes, that's not the same for all bikes. So don't panic if you're unsure. Don't think that you need to run out and buy one of these, because you might not do. even if you'll change your gearing. If your bike reads from the wheels, i.e. the speed from the wheels, you won't need a speedo healer. Right, so let's show you what needs to be done, and then I'll start doing it. Basically, what happens is the cable that comes with the speedo healer, this here is going to plug into your speed sensor, and this is going to plug into the wire, the other end of the wire basically, and then this wire is going to run underneath the rear seat, and that's where I'm going to mount the actual speedo healer. When you get this, it comes with a bit of sticky velcro on the back there, so you can mount it, but then you can easily sort of remove it, take it off, program it, and so on. So yeah, quite a small unit. It will tuck away nice and neatly. And yeah, so basically, where does it need to connect? Well, on my bike and on many Gixxers, fucking hell, I've started already. Gixxers, not Gixxers. So this here is my speed sensor, and that is basically reading a small sort of funny shaped bolt that's mounted onto the front of the sprocket. And as that bolt rotates, the sensor reads that rotation of that bolt, and that's what sends the speed signal up to the ECU basically. So all I need to do is follow this wire up to the point where you see the connection. Now you can't see it here, but I'll take you around so you can see it. And then it is literally unplug the connection, plug this in, route the wire in, set it up, job's a good one. I don't know how easily you can see this, but this is your fuel rail, and then behind the fuel rail, so this is sort of, you know, near the back of the engine block. You might be able to see a black connector just there. I don't know if I mean, I'm looking at the back of the camera, but I don't know how clear it is going to be for you once I see this on the screen. But basically, that connector there is the connector for the speed sensor. So all I need to do is unplug that, plug the cable for the speed sensor in, and then route the cable. So let's do that now. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that with this camera in the way, so I might not be able to show you because it's quite tight. Now, what I could do is I could get the airbox off to give me a bit of room. I could get the tank off, that would give me a bit of room, but I'm not going to go through all of that just to connect that one wire. So I'll connect that wire off camera, and then I'll show you once it's been connected. A little bit light in here and explain exactly what's connected. So this black wire here is the wire that I showed you that comes with the speedo healer, and at one end of that wire is the sort of the two different connectors. The little connector goes into the wiring loom of the bike. So that was the black connector that was connected up earlier directly to the speed sensor. It's now connected directly to the speedo healer small connector. And then the speed sensor cable from the bike is now connected into the larger of the two connectors from the speedo healer wiring. That, as far as wiring is concerned, is pretty much it. All I need to do now is route this cable so that the speedo sensor unit is going to sit underneath the rear seat. Now that I've got the wiring in place, all I'm going to do is plug it in, but let me just show you where I'm going to keep this. Once it's all set up, obviously I'm going to just leave it here loose because it's easier just to set it up. But once it's all set up, like I said earlier, this is Velcro, so the unit can be placed down, but then it can be lifted again when you need to. So that's quite handy. So I'm going to place it just underneath there. So you've got a nice flat bit of plastic there. And if I tuck it there, it's not getting in the way of anything. And then when I put my seat on or my seat cowl, it's not going to block it because the seat cowl basically hooks underneath here. So it shouldn't block it, but I will double check that anyway before I actually stick that down. But that's where it's going to live once it's all set up. But the first thing to do is, and of course I'm going to cable tie the wiring down. Let me just show you the wiring. So basically it's gone from where it was all connected and then underneath the tank, following the wiring loom of the bike, or part of the wiring loom alongside the battery, and then into under there into the rear seat compartment. So it's all going to be nice and neat and tucked away. Now there is 2 connections here, but one of them's got 4 connectors, and this wire has got 4 connectors, so you can't get them mixed up. It can only go one way, and that's it, connected up, ready to set up and to program, which we'll get to in a second. Let me tell you, however, what this other connector is for. Let me just grab the other cable a second. Now, this is, some people might think this is pretty cool to have. Now, what this is a small red button on a cable, and that cable fits into there. Now, TSM, I think, if I remember rightly, stands for top speed memory. So what that means is, if you got this plugged in and you go for a ride and then you come and you switch your bike off, the next time you turn your ignition on, you can press this red button and it will display your previous or your most recent top speed on your dash. So if you've done 120 mile an hour and that's the fastest you've gone that time since turning the bike on, that 120 mile an hour reading can be recalled just by pressing that button. Now that sounds awesome, doesn't it? I'm not going to connect this. I'm not. I don't want bloody hell, I've got to be careful what I'm saying here. It's not necessary. That's all I'm going to say, right? It's not necessary for obvious reasons. So as far as I'm concerned, this cable is just going in a box and that's where it's going to live. But yeah, if you want that function, that's what that is. Plug that cable into there, tuck the cable away, and then next time you go for a ride, pull over, press that red button, and it will recall your most recent highest speed on your dash. Pretty cool. I'm not sure what the actual purpose is for that, but hey, that's one of the things that it does. Okay, so basically what we have to do here is turn the ignition on and then press both buttons until, get this orientated, until either a negative dash or a P is visible. Negative dash means negative, so you're entering a negative value. For example, I need to enter negative 14.5%. If you want to enter a positive value, then you need to set P to enter a positive value. Okay, both buttons. Learning mode, dash set, no, dash select, so next. So 1, 2, 3, 4, bear with me. 1, 4, 5. Okay, 14.5. So that is it. Ignition off, and that's it set basically. So let's just do a test. Let's just turn the ignition on, because according to the instructions it says turn the ignition on and it will toggle through the numbers. So it should go 1, 4.5. So let's have a look at that. Ignition on, negative 1, 4.5. That was a 0.5, wasn't it? One more time. Ignition on, negative 1, 4.5. Okay, so that is set. So all I need to do now is tidy everything up, secure that down somehow if the wire will allow me to put it where I wanted to put it. I'll come back to you in a second once I've done that and show you where I've stored it. And then I'll do a quick summary and then that'll be us. I couldn't put it where I wanted to put it in there because the cable just isn't quite long enough to loop up and back round, and because it's got this little connector block here, it won't sort of sit flat that way. So I wanted to sort of put it, you know, upside down, rotate it, but the cable isn't long enough. So what I've had to do is The little bit of sticky Velcro just there, right in the center at the bottom, and then that means that I can tuck that away in there. Sticks down, secures down nice and easily. And then if I need to reprogram it for whatever reason, or if I need to change the accuracy of it, then I can just take it up, reprogram it, and then stick it back down again. I have also cable tied the wiring, so that's all nice and neat now, exactly where I want it, and we are good. Right, okay, so that's the Speedo Healer all fitted, and in case you're wondering why I had to enter a negative value, is very simple. So the Speedo is overreading. So by programming a negative value into the Speedo Healer, it will reduce the Speedo reading by that value. And for me, like I said, it was about 14.5% there or thereabouts. That's probably still gives me a little bit of a margin, but I'll find out tomorrow and I'll test ride it. Just thought I would add this quick update. So the Speedo reading now is pretty much bang on. I'm doing 37 and the Speedo's reading 37. So yeah, it's accurate. It's much more accurate. It's probably still a little bit out, like maybe half a mile an hour or something like that. And what I might do actually is I might adjust it and just make it slightly overread, just so I get that little bit of a safety margin. So previously, as you know if you're watching this video, I'll have set it to reduce the speed by 14.5%. I'm going to change that and I'm going to get it to reduce it to say 13.5%, maybe 13%. And that will give me a little bit of an overread on the Speedo, on the dash. And like I say, that's then a little bit of a safety margin, which is what, you know, a normal speedometer does anyway. But the good news is the calculations worked out. So for me, with the difference that I had, 82 miles an hour on the bike, 70 miles an hour GPS speed, gave a difference of about 14.5%. Dialed that in and it's pretty much bang on. But it just means that, like I said, more importantly for me, the miles aren't going to be clocking up too quickly, which they are. I mean, according to my odometer, I've done 600 miles since I changed my coolant. I don't think I have. I've probably done 500 miles maybe. I don't know if that maths is right, but I definitely haven't done 600 miles. So yeah, that's the main reason. Anyway, hope that video was useful. Thanks for watching, folks. As always, let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Stay safe, have fun. Do